So our last type of market structure that we're going to learn in this class, huzzah, is oligopoly, right? An oligopoly is the situation when a small number of firms have all or most of the sales in an industry. Some interesting dynamics within oligopolies are as follows. If our oligopolists compete hard, if they're cutthroat, they act similarly to perfect competitors. How so? They're going to drive costs down. And they're going to lead to zero profits for all. If the oligopolists collude with one another, they may collectively act like a monopoly. How so? They're going to succeed in pushing up prices and consistently earning high levels of profit. Not learning. We're learning. We're consistently learning. They're consistently earning high levels of profit. So when we talk about collusion, what are we talking about?
We're talking about them engaging in collaborative efforts in order to ensure that they produce only a certain amount or only sell at a certain amount.
Very good, Yang. Yes, they're going to act together to reduce output for the purposes of keeping prices high. They're only going to reduce the output to keep these prices high. So how prices high? So how do they do this? Holding down industry output. Charging a higher price. And then dividing the profit amongst themselves.
The objective is to hit the profit maximizing quantity rather than the revenue maximizing quantity, just to drag it down from there.
Correct. Yeah, so they're trying to restrict output because just producing to maximize your revenue is not going to result in the highest profit. And so the biggest, cartel or the biggest oligopoly, the best example we can talk about is OPEC, the oil producing exporting countries, where they come together and they say, okay, we're going to restrict production by 1 million barrels a day. And they do this not because they want to sell 1 million barrels a day less, right? They want to sell those million extra barrels. It's because if they all do this collectively, then the resulting profits that they get are going to be on the remaining, millions and millions of barrels of oil that they're selling. The higher prices that they'll get from cutting production by 1 million barrels is going to more than offset the loss of revenue of those million barrels. And also oil is a good that, it's not going to perish, right? You can put it in a sand hill and store it for a long time at relatively low cost. So collusion is incentivized within oligopolistic structures. If you collude, you can act like a monopoly and maximize profits rather than just trying to chase greater revenues. When firms collude explicitly, we call this a cartel. So we oftentimes hear of cartels, like the drug cartel, right? The Sinaloa drug cartel or whatever in Mexico, right? But cartels can happen with non-illegal enterprises, right? A group of firms that have a formal agreement to collude to produce the monopoly output and sell at the monopoly price. So questions on just the premise of oligopolies. I mean, the real important part is kind of this up here, right? We're talking about if they compete, they act like perfect competitors by driving costs down and leading to zero profits. But if they collude with one another, they can push up the prices and consistently earn higher levels of profit. Questions on those dynamics? Seems easy now. We're going to jump into game theory. Probably going to seem easy, but then when we try to actually do game theory on our own, it's oftentimes much more difficult. So we want to make sure that we have a good foundation for how these oligopolies have two choices. And the outcome of their businesses are not just related to the choices that they make, but they're related to the choices that their competitors make, right? So they're interdependent in that way. So oligopolists have an interdependence that no other market structure has.